RndThursday is a clueless bum. This video is a counter-argument to everything that RndThursday says in his new absolutely terrible video, Antler Shield is a wake-up call, which I have deemed worthy to be put into my playlist, Worst Opinions of All Time, due to just how bad the opinions are. Therefore, I will be going through what he says and providing a counter-argument to everything, because I play the game enough to do that. Okay, now I do want to preface this video by saying that I do know that this video could be absolute 4D chess and bait that I am falling for. But like, bait used to be believable, and like what is stated by RND is so stupid that I actually need to do, as we say here in the UK, bug out and start violating. Now, please don't harass RND, he's actually kind of funny, but every opinion here is terrible and absolute bait. Let's get into it! Okay. So his first point is that Antler Shield is not ass because the effect is ass, but because the numbers are terrible. Okay, it sounds fair, but then he starts arguing about how Antler Shield reflects the base damage taken and not what you receive after damage reductions through armor and repulsion plates. Now what he's lacking in the understanding of is that literally doesn't matter. The whole idea of reflecting the exact damage dealt to your survivor HP is bad because like it's always up to like 100 times smaller than what most enemies have in HP, and so it's completely useless, no matter if it's applied before or after damage reductions. Your HP bar is just so much smaller than that of a HP bar that a monster has, that reflecting the damage from your HP bar, even if you flat out died, would be useless. Picture Huntress being killed by a Beetle Queen. Yeah, you have done like 200 damage to a Beetle Queen. That's like what, 10k HP? It's useless. He just said, let's say an enemy does 1000 damage to you. My brother in Christ, that means you're dead. That is what just happened to you. You got hit and you died, end of. Okay, but he says it crit chains into a crowbar and procs an ATG, and now it's gone from 1000 to 200 to 2000 to 3750 to 11250 damage. Oh, and by the way, on stage 1 where you have 110 HP, the first TP boss already has 2100 HP, which just puts it into perspective scaling. That would never happen because before Mithrix, you don't really die to one-shots. It's always attritive damage that you slowly die to, meaning that that crowbar wouldn't be doing shit, and you would get unlucky and the ATG would proc on a lower damage hit. Oh, and guess what? Taking 1000 damage just means that you're already dead. Also, you are depending on 3 very high tier items for this. Aren't you just arguing that those items are good, not that Antler Shield does anything? He says this is a niche scenario. But like, as I said, due to attritive damage, it's just a scenario that even on tanky survivors like Multi, it would just never happen. He then says that niche items are okay. I agree, but not ones that are entirely useless like this one. Because like, even for Bongus, you can try to get in a secluded corner which will let you stand still and use it. Using Antler Shield will just kill you. It's not niche, it's just bad. Oh, and he says that backup mags are bad on Rex. Now this is a complete side tangent, but I play Rex and I need to state this. Clearly bro has never played Rex, because due to how you play him, having like 1 to 2 backup mags is actually awesome, because there is a minimum 0.5 second cooldown, and you cannot spam perfectly on frame 1 of the ability refreshing since you are a human. Having a second possible stack means that you will spam more efficiently and eventually you will shoot another drill shot than what you would usually be able to shoot out if you only had like the default and no backup mag. Also, since you do not need to always be shooting enemies and sometimes you just stop to run and dodge, then that means that those backup mags will then be instantly usable since they don't have the 0.5 cooldown after running away from enemies. So, backup mag is good on Rex actually, Mr. RND, rather quite good. He then makes the point that the elusive antlers won't be truly unique, so why does it matter if Antler Shield is? Well, it's mostly because Antler Shield is just knockoff Razor Wire, as in, it's a version of Razor Wire with only the negatives. Razor Wire is balanced around always dealing the same damage shots, no matter how much damage you take, meaning that you can maximize taking low damage shots but a lot so you shoot it out more. Which is actually really good, because as we have established, if the damage that you like give out is related to damage you take, then that means that you're gonna either do tickle damage to the enemies or be fucking dead. Then now this subsection is the part that pissed me off the most. Okay, so the reason why having a movement speed item, which might I add has the unique mechanic of orbs that give barrier, is a good thing that there are going to be more movement speed items, because despite what Mr. RND says, the diluted item pool is an actual issue. Because guess what, RND, I play the game to have fun, and having fun requires winning, because that is the point of the game. to get better at it, and to win. So if you're being held back constantly by the RNG of receiving shit, and I mean shit items that do literally nothing, Antler Shield, Knockback Fin, Unstable Transmitter, Noxious Thorn, Bolstering Lantern, War Bonds, Sprayer Beads, and kind of Luminous Shot, but less I guess. It's like maybe alright. But yeah, that is a massive portion of mainly common items that literally do jack fuck, meaning a large percentage of the items you receive will be absolute shit. You will pick up the items and they will do nothing. Nothing. They are dead weight that will ruin your run. Let's compare this even to Starstorm 2, a free mod. Okay, it's a free mod on like Seekers of the Storm that actually gives decent items that do things like, oh, I don't know, an alternate source of crit, reduces the bloat, that works slightly differently to lens makers, but still increases your overall effective crit. This means that it doesn't dilute the item pool and actually does something useful that will make your run better. I.e., taking this item to Mithrix will actually do more damage to him, and so you will not lose your run. Or items like Coffee Bag, which increase your attack speed in a cool and unique ways that synergize with close range characters. You cannot add Absolute Slop that does nothing because it would make you lose runs. Okay, now this is anecdotal, but you could just go back and see my Commando Eclipse 7 completion. If you see my inventory, you see that I lucked out and only had one item from Seekers of the Storm, and that's why I won, because I didn't have Slop that ruined my runs. So Seekers of the Storm being item pool bloat literally does nothing good for you, no matter how unique the items are. So having a movement speed item is much preferred since it will do something to help you against fighting enemies. Okay, now I want to warn this part got me really heated, so like this script was written like fucking like angry typing. Some people want to make Manix everything. No, you fat, bold, I can't say that on YouTube. People want to have fun. We want to actually win our Eclipse runs instead of losing 14 runs in a row due to Seekers of the Storms' ass mechanics like shit items and Gilded Elites. Yes, I lost 14 runs in a row due to Seekers of the Storms' Gilded Elites. The second I turned it off, I won Huntress Eclipse 7. I actually hate Seekers of the Storm. It's not min-maxing, it's playing to a base level. You are the father of video games. No! I am a normal player who doesn't want to lose. Like, no casual sees Antler Shield and says, yay, I reflect damage! Whoa! What they see is that it does nothing, and that it sucks you fat. Play command and disable the DLC. Brother, when I paid for Seekers... no, oopsies. Brothers, when I paid for Survivors of the Void, the game was still playable because it added not-ass items that actually do something positive, like Polyloot and Vrimp, and like Mocha and such. Being a paid DLC does not justify being shit, when the point is that it's meant to add more fun things, like Survivors of the Void, or Starstorm 2. If Starstorm 2 can add fun items, so can Seekers of the Storm. Seekers of the Storm's items are not fun and unique, they're just shit and too hard to use for no reason. Scrap the items. So this is like saying, essentially, that any item that you don't like should be scrapped and turned into something like a crit or a dagger. So basically your whole run should revolve around whether you find the printer instead of whether you loot efficiently and make good choices at multi-shops. Well done. Any run can be won with 10 bleeds. Unless Chef. Watch my Chef video. Watch the Chef video. But Mr. R&D, shouldn't that be the method every damn time, or else the game becomes boring and you min-max every time, which you will argue against? Are you stupid? Oh, but it's a DLC. Yeah, I paid for it, and if a free mod can be fun, then so can a DLC made by a massive corporation backed by $1 billion other corporation. Go fuck yourself, this argument is actually raw fucking ass. Okay, so now he says that DLCs should be themed. Which, yeah, would be cool. Well done, Mr. R&D. You made one good point. He also says, you don't need to cater to the whims of everyone. Now, yeah, but you do need to cater to the whims of actually being able to win and it not being dependent on dodging DLC's items. A DLC item can be niche, such as the ICBM missile, which only actually affects a small percentage of other items. But that item is actually good and the niche effect is limited, but when the effect is actually affecting things, it's actually really good. Like especially on the engineers, like alternate shift, it's such a good buff. Okay, now he's on about a themed DLC about healing, which I don't disagree with, as long as the items are good enough to not dilute your pool. Because if the DLC adds more Wungus, it's fine, but if it adds like more monster teeth, then like that would literally be fucking rot. Oh, he's still on about you don't need to buy a DLC. Guys, I think he might believe his own rage bait, because there's no way he actually repeated this many times. He then yaps about other games. Risk of Rain 2 is not a competitive game. Yes, but that doesn't mean that the item should be outright shit. RndThursday believe that in Risk of Rain 2, the game where the objective is to not die, being hit constantly is a good and acceptable thing. Okay, I'm exaggerating it, but the whole just don't get hit meme comes out of a bit of truth, as much as it's obviously impossible to never get hit while playing Risk of Rain 2. The point of the game is still to minimize damage that you take, so you don't die to attritive damage, slow damage build up that kills you due to like no healing. Now, I know that you can't just not get hit, but you really aren't meant to get hit. Of course, you can play around healing, but like it isn't consistent and depends on a lot of random things going right. So in reality, the problem isn't getting hit, it's the fact that getting hit is something that triggers a lot of factors that can go really wrong, such as mispredicting how much damage something will do and killing yourself. Even if slowly and due to a chain of events, a single hit may still cause a death. The game isn't balanced around Eclipse. Yes, but an item bloating the item pool shouldn't kill whole Eclipse runs. Imagine if an item was so bad that just playing on a different difficulty made it worthless. No, not less effective, worthless. At least healing items whose effects are literally halved do something on Eclipse, but Antler Shield? You get worse Razor Wire and part of your HP bar gone. Fuck you. There are people who run Command and Drizzle and like to have weird builds. And those people are the ones who it affects the least if there's item pool bloat. Those people can choose their items and so can tailor their build to always work. My ass fiending for one syringe on Eclipse 8 is the guy who actually cares about the item pool's bloat. The Drizzle command player can make any item work, even if it's bloat, because it can always be supplemented by good items. Imagine an item that takes 20 stacks of itself and becomes the best item in the game. Just because you can get to that point doesn't mean that it's a good item, because most of the time you will get 19 or below stacks and be able to do jack fuck. And those items could have been any other items that are good. So that item will bloat your item pool for no reason and will just start ruining real runs. R&D, this is not an excuse. You don't want to set bad habits. Oh, but it's not a competitive game, so it doesn't matter. I kind of have to agree with this one. Like, unless you want to push Eclipse, which in my very humble opinion, you need to watch my beautiful video, which has the most important message about how to beat Eclipse. You don't want to incentivize getting hit is stupid. No, that's not the problem with Antler Shield. See, skillfully getting hit for small parts of damage on purpose, i.e. Razor Wire with Hellfire Tincture, is part of the game and skillful, and something that you should optimize. Now, Antler Shield incentivizes the opposite, being hit for massive amounts which lead to death, so the problem isn't being able to be hit, it's the fact that it scales off of being able to be hit harder, which is literally always bad for you, even if you optimize it towards it. Antler Shield scales off of your items. Yeah, he doesn't mess up here for a bit until he says, a Lemurian smacks you for 1000 damage. Brother, you are dead. At that point, you are already dead. There is no damage to be done because you are dead. You have so many items to reduce your damage. Even with Warped Echo making the effect hit off twice, dealing 100 damage to an enemy twice is nothing. Refer to at stage 1, the boss at level 1 has literally 2.1k HP. And most enemies that deal that much damage is in separated portions, so it won't scale off of things like crowbars or bands, making it even more useless. Antler Shield and Razor Wire are different. Antler Shield is just the worst version of Razor Wire. The only difference is that its range is infinite and doesn't work with self-damage and scales with larger hits, which it does poorly at best. Meaning that as much as it's slightly different, it is just worse in every way, and Razor Wire is just the better item, as in it's designed to get you to farm smaller hits on purpose instead of big ones when it's inopportune, like Antler Shield. It's like calling Bustling Fungus and Cautious Slug the same. One heals in a small area when standing alone, the other heals when you have not been in combat directly through HP regen. What do Razor Wire and Antler Shield do? Deal damage to enemies when you have been damaged. The conditions are much more similar than Bungus and Slug. Even though Antler Shield and Razor Wire aren't exactly the same, they are much more similar. He then mentions percentages again, which I've already explained is stupid because you will just always have less HP than monsters, and even if you tweaked the numbers, it would just become too strong, because it's a white item and can be easily stacked. Razor Wire is weaker, the more damage you get hit, and Antler Shield is the opposite. Yeah, and that's just an overall weakness for Antler Shield. Okay, now he starts reiterating points, so I will too. He's mainly trying to be sarcastic for a few of these. I don't know if I'll convey that right in my tone, but I'll try to. I believe Antler Shield should be buffed and not turned into a movement speed item. I mean, I've thought about this, because this script has actually made me think about what R&D was saying, because I've worked on this for quite a while. But if they were to rework Antler Shield without it becoming elusive antlers, which is what's going to actually happen, I would make it a 100% chance of 200% damage taken, plus 200% per stack that you get, which problem is, have you heard of Razor Wire? Okay, but seriously, changing it to a movement speed item with some defensive capabilities is probably the best move, because Bloat isn't fun, and the worst Razor Wire is Bloat. Didn't you see like items that like let you get hit, Mr. R&D? Barrier from elusive antlers lets that happen, Mr. R&D. Bungus should be bad because you cannot stand still in TF in ROV 2. You know what? If it wasn't for Engineer's existence, even though you're trying to be sarcastic, I would actually agree with this point. Bungus also needs to be Bungus needs to be removed from the game, but like Engineer exists, and that's one good reason for it existing. Also, I guess Wungus, because yeah, you know. So then, why do we need Bison Steak? You know what? R&D is right here in the way that he doesn't intend. In my actual opinion, I think they should make Bison Steak be called Rotten Steak and make it only give you plus 15% HP, but it's prioritized as scrap because like that's essentially all it does anyways. Fireworks and squid polyps. There's no interactables at Mithrix, we should just remove them. He is being sarcastic here. In the way that he doesn't intend again, he is kind of right. Those items do suck, especially squid polyps, which have very limited range. But there's this equipment called the remote caffeinator, and yeah, that kind of just solves that. Dio's best friend revives you after you die. You shouldn't die! Okay, obviously he is saying this with sarcasm, but I must add that Dio's isn't really a good item, so in a very strange way he's also right that he doesn't intend to be right. It's like a bottom tier red for a reason. You would much rather unironically get a brilliant behemoth that is plus 60% damage, which may mean that you never die and beat Mithrix, than get a Dio's, which you will die and then die again due to lacking the damage. Turning it into another movement speed item is unoriginal. Well, no, because it provides barrier, which allows you to get hit more with no downside. How is that not unique? Topaz Brooch is the only one that allows for that, but currently that's only if there are killable enemies around you, meaning that at Mithrix it's useless. On command barrier is unique and awesome, and that movement speed that you get along with it is just more evasive potential, creating for a more balanced defensive item, which is what you were asking for, no, Mr. R&D. It's a DLC that you can tick on and off. Yeah, but so is Survivors of the Storm. What? Ah, I'm bugging. Survivors of the Void. I'm such an idiot. I'm keeping that in. So is Survivors of the Void, and that doesn't suck. As I explained to the ICBM earlier, like, niche items can be good. Antler Shield just isn't well thought out. Command lets you choose your items. Yeah, but the thing is, you can make any build work there. There's not that much skill required. Please stop using that as an excuse. It's the same as you can make fireworks work there. It doesn't mean they're actually good or a good strat to do in game. We have scrappers and printers. Yeah, but like requiring on a secondary round of RNG to turn your terrible white into a usable one is just more unnecessary RNG. That's the definition of bloat. Saying Antler Shield is bad because the effect is bad is wrong. No. Scaling damage dealt off damage taken is a bad idea because it leads to you needing to get hit for way too big chunks for no reason. And synergizing not at all with most things that deal self-damage is just stupid. Razor Wire is good and works how it does for a reason. Chronic expansion is easy to use. Now, this isn't actually R&D's fault, but Chronic Expansion is bugged and there are some enemies that don't refresh your combat, like the combat mode status. So for Chronic Expansion, it makes it really difficult to use it for no reason. So R&D would actually usually be right here, but SOTS is so garbage that he's wrong. I've blue-pilled half my community on why long-standing solitude is a good item. Okay, this isn't actually related to what he's saying, but I think he meant red-pilled as blue-pilled means to be kept unaware. So yeah, he made a mistake. He doesn't know his matrix law. Also, long-standing solitude is bad, but not because it does but like it's only because it doesn't scale beyond a certain point, which actually would mean that it's really good for Eclipse. But it doesn't matter because if you take Lunas on Eclipse, you tickle pickles, and so I would only ever take it on a normal run where I would loop. So yeah, the fact that it doesn't scale more is terrible. Not enough people playing the game, and too many people talking about Excel sheets and on-paper bullshit. Okay, but the thing is, I actually have anecdotal evidence of SOTS's bloat being garbage. I played 14 Huntress Eclipse 7 runs with SOTS on, and I lost them all. I turned it off and suddenly I won. I just don't think it's a coincidence. And to be fair, it was mainly caused by like the extra common elite bug. But like at the same time, I could win with that bug there just by turning SOTS off, meaning SOTS is still a severe downgrade in gameplay. We can move 5% quicker when we pick up our monster teeth or something, or whatever the fuck it does. This just shows that he's like done absolutely zero research on like the item. He just doesn't know what he's hating on. He's just speaking. Also, it would most likely be a 7% permanent speed increase because that's what it said. And like by reading the description that we got leaked, we could also tell that it's the picking up the orb gives us barrier, not the movement speed. Yeah, bro's just hating on something he doesn't know about. That should just be Commando and better Commando because I'm boring and I should be able to get to Mithrix and win every time. I don't know why he's making this point. I've literally never heard anybody say this. If anything, the point is that we hate Chef so much is because he's literally just a weak robot commando with none of the features that make commando good. Good bleed stacks at any range. So yeah, R&D just made a straw man to just shit on, which nobody is saying, but you know, whatever. And then he ends the video off, ending my suffering and yours. I have now counted every point that he made. I don't expect a reply from this video since I am a small YouTuber, but oh well, this was fun to make. Now I just want to say that I don't know how well there are bits where like I'm attempting to like make it like sound like it's him who's saying it. I don't know if I'll probably put an on-screen indicator. Yeah, love, mwah, mwah. I hope you enjoyed the R&D counter arguments. Yeah, when I watched the R&D video, it pissed me off so much immediately that I just wanted to make a video countering his points because I just thought they were all fucking terrible. Now, as I said, it's probably definitely rage bait and I'm just falling for it, but like, oh well. I hope you enjoyed.